Everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the SCU show, brought to you by Graham Slim Inc. Graham Slim Inc. is an up-and-coming brand of graphics and clothing material by Tori Graham. Tori has been working on graphic design for 5 years now and has decided to start his own business, partnering with a couple indoor football and semi-pro football teams. You can follow Graham Slim Inc. That's Graham Slam, one word, Inc. on Facebook. Graham Slim Inc. He's finally out of Twitter jail. We're glad to see that. Twitter at Graham_Tori and Instagram at Graham Slim Inc. Contact Graham Slim Inc. for all your graphic design needs today. Alright, so it's going to be a really sloppy show because I didn't write anything down. I don't have anything written down, but I do have thoughts on a couple things. I want to start with the Seahawks. So we'll start with Seattle today's show. We'll go from there. So the Seahawks, they signed Greg Olsen, tight end Greg Olsen. And last week on the show, I did say how Seattle and Green Bay were my two favorite teams in the NFC for the next season. Or, not two, it was 2 weeks ago I said it. Seattle and Green Bay were my two favorite teams for this upcoming season. And I'm pretty much doubling down on the Seahawks now after they got Greg Olsen. Now, somebody did tell me that some very close to me said, oh, they had to spice up their defense, but they do have Bobby Wagner, led the league in tackles last year. They do have some good pieces on defense. Javen Clowney, they bring him back, they'll be good to go on the pass rushing line, whatever. It's free agency's coming up, the draft's coming up. Just all the Seahawks really have to do is they have to spice up that defense, and they're on their way. Pretty much that's it. It's free agency, to the draft, whatever you got to do, and then you're on your way. You're Seattle, you're on your way. I think they could definitely bail Green Bay at this point. They have now just not one. They have two great tight ends, and I forget the other guy's name. Nick something was their backup tight end. He got hurt early in the season and missed the rest of the year. And now they have Greg Olsen, who's obviously a great tight end. He still has a lot left in him, at least a year or two. Because he did sign a 1-year deal with Seattle, and then maybe if he does well and he wants to come back, maybe. But I don't know. I think this is it for Greg Olsen, but I still think it really works for Seattle. It really does, because now you have a two tight end set. You have the receivers, DK Metcalf, and I think they still have Tyler Lockett. Yeah, Tyler Lockett's also a very athletic receiver. So really, Russell Wilson, there's no excuses for Seattle now. You could beat Green Bay. And last week, 2 weeks ago, I said Seattle and Green Bay are the two teams in the NFC to compete for the Super Bowl, to get to Super Bowl 55. Now I'm doubling down on Seattle. I think Seattle's going to get to the Super Bowl. I think they'll play either New England or Kansas City, depending on what happens in New England. We're still waiting on the whole Tom Brady thing. So who knows what's going to happen there. I don't know. I don't know. I know you don't know. Probably don't know either. But if you do know, if you think of something, let me know. Writing Fanatic 2 on Twitter. I do think that Brady's going back to New England. They need to find more weapons and everything. But anyway, back to the Seahawks. Seattle has a great team. And again, they just got Greg Olsen, 1-year deal, $7 million, very nice. And that's going to get him back to the Super Bowl. Now, the only thing they need to work on now is get some pieces on defense like we talked about. Like I was talking about. You have to get pieces on defense. You have to keep, apparently, Jadeveon Clowney's hit the free agent market. If I'm Seattle, I'm looking to re-sign him because he's going to be a big part getting our team back to the Super Bowl. Getting back to the Super Bowl. So really, I know I said Green Bay and Seattle, but really I'm doubling down on the Seahawks right now. I think that they're going to be the team to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl next February. Very excited to see Seattle. Like yesterday, I was hearing that people are still doubting Russell Wilson. I'm like, how can you doubt Russell Wilson after all he's done? He's taken his team to the playoffs every single year in his 8-year career. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1. He's probably going to win another one, maybe next year, if he beats out Patrick Mahomes, which he's already done, by the way. He's already beat out Patrick Mahomes, so he could do it again. I mean, can we stop doubting Russell? I don't understand people that doubt Russell Wilson after what he's done over the last 8 years. Taking Seattle to the playoffs every single year. Sure, he hasn't made the Super Bowl every single year, but who does besides Tom Brady and Bill Belichick? It's crazy. So like I said, with the addition of Greg Olsen, doubling down on Seattle to get to Super Bowl 55 in Tampa in February of 2021. So there you have it. All right, let's switch gears. Drew Brees. Drew Brees is coming back. This is awesome news for the Saints. Everybody's coming back. The Alvin Kamara, hopefully he gets better. I think he'll have a big year next year. He'll be much better than he was last year. I think he only had 3 touchdowns last year. He'll be back. He'll be better. Michael Thomas was the Offensive Player of the Year. Had led the leg in receiving yards, receptions, whatever the case is. And then, obviously, Drew Brees is back. And they're not going to get rid of Taysom Hill yet. Taysom Hill will be back next year, too. He could be a receiver. He could be a quarterback. He could be a running back. He can do whatever you want. So you're going to have that versatile talent on your team as well. The only question now is what do you do with Teddy Bridgewater? Because Drew Brees is coming back. Now the Saints are going to look to... They want to keep Taysom Hill. They want to Taysom Hill to be the franchise quarterback if Drew Brees left. But of course, they were hoping for Drew Brees to come back this year. Now he is. And so the thing is, what do you do now with Teddy Bridgewater? And the way I see it, you trade him to Carolina. I think that would be a perfect fit for him for at least 1 year. While the Panthers, I mean, obviously, there's got rid of Greg Olsen. Luke Kuechly retired. They got a new coach, Matt Rule in Baylor. They're not going to be a great team this year, especially going up against New Orleans, who won their division last year on Thanksgiving night. That's how dominant they were in the last season. They're going to be this is going to be more of the same this year with the Saints. Hopefully, they get a playoff win and not get screwed over like they did the last few years. But anyway, another story for another time. I think you trade Bridgewater to Carolina, let them deal with him. I think he'll keep them up there. I honestly think with what the Panthers do have on offense, not much on defense now, but what they do have on offense, it could really work out for them if they took Teddy Bridgewater. I think that would be a very nice addition. I think the Saints should trade him there. It would make for an interesting story. Absolutely, I think everybody would love that. Teddy Bridgewater's on the Panthers. Wow, this is awesome. Of course. Everybody would love that, especially with this being a rebuilding team. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe, perhaps, Teddy Bridgewater could help the Carolina Panthers rebuild in a rebuilding year. Who knows? But again, that's probably the only team because I hear the Bears, they're sick of Trubisky. I said a few weeks ago they should tank for Trevor. And then I'm hearing stories, they're going to go for Marcus Mariota or Derek Carr. The things I could say about the Bears that I'm not going to say. I'm just going to move on. I'm just going to say Carolina, if I'm New Orleans, trade Bridgewater to the Panthers. They're rebuilding. Be a really good addition. And I would think maybe, just maybe, because I did like Teddy Bridgewater in Minnesota, of course, just maybe Teddy Bridgewater could lead the Panthers somewhere, possibly to the postseason. So you can't say you wouldn't want to see it happen. I think it would be very interesting to see. All right, so there's that. Teddy Bridgewater and the Seahawks. Let's talk about the Giants, too, because that's another thing. We're just spitting out topics here on today's episode. Next week, we'll have a much more organized show. I said 2 weeks ago when I was talking about the 5 things I want to see next season, I said the NFC East was so wide open. The Eagles are going to get better. But I do question with the Eagles is that they're not hiring an offensive coordinator for the year. They're going to do something else. I don't understand that, but we'll see how it works. Dallas got Mike McCarthy. They're going to sign Dak to a big deal. Mark to a big deal. Zeke already got his big deal. Jalen Smith, that's not a big deal. They got a lot of guys. Sean Lee, once they come back next year, Dallas is going to be good. Washington, I do like what Washington's doing in the front office. I don't like what they're doing with the everything else. They got rid of Josh Norman, who has a lot of gas in the tank. They just released Jordan Reed. I know he's hurt and everything, but when he was out there, he was probably the best guy out there. I don't know. I don't like what Washington's doing with their roster moves, but we'll see what happens in free agency. And then there's the Giants. Well, I fell for them like 3 years ago. I said, oh my God, this team's going to be great. And then they went like 3-13, 4-12. After OBJ went down, Brandon Marshall went down, they lost everybody. Everybody went down. And I was so wrong on it. But now I'm back on it. I think the Giants are going to be really a good team. Like, that's going to be a really special team. Everybody's new. The whole coaching staff is gone. They have a new coaching staff. I don't know what to think of Joe Judge, to make of him. But I think that I'll probably do something special. I really think he will because he did coach with New England. He won Super Bowls with Bill Belichick, so you can't really. Well, that's the initial thought is that if he can win a Super Bowl with Bill Belichick, see what he can do in New York. I think it'll be very interesting. He has a new offensive staff. Jason Garrett's the offensive coordinator. Jason Garrett took the Cowboys to the playoffs the last 3 years. Jason Garrett was a Cowboys coach for 10 years, sub 500 right now. He's a over 500 coach in Dallas, so I think he'll do well there. And everybody's coming back healthy this year. Saquon will be back. He missed a few games last year early on. Daniel Jones he's going to get better, I think. I don't think he's going to have a sophomore slump. I think he'll get better. You have it's a great team in New York, and with the Giants at least. I really don't know about the Jets. But I think the Giants, they won 4 games last year. That's going to double. That could be, honestly, I know the NFC East is wide open, but I could see the Giants finishing second place at worst. Again, the Eagles, you're not hiring an offensive coordinator? What? No, why not? What are you doing? If you don't hire an offensive coordinator, what's that going to say about Carson Wentz? What's that going to say about Carson Wentz during the season? Who knows? Well, let's see. Washington, I don't like what they're doing on offense. They just lost Vernon Davis. He retired. Jordan Reed's gone. Your top guy is just coming into his second season. I'm Terry McLaurin. And you have Dwayne Haskins, who has not proven himself yet. So I don't know what to think of Washington. And Dallas, I think they'll be good. It'll be them and the Giants, really. I think them and the Giants will compete for the NFC East this year. I don't know. Wouldn't be surprised if the Giants win it all. No, I'm not wearing blue just because I'm talking about the Giants. I just really think that the Giants are really going to be something special this year. They're going to shock a lot of people. I'm very excited to see them, especially with me being in the New Jersey area. I don't know if I'll catch a game. Maybe I will. We'll see. But Giants, they're going to be a real special team. It's not going to be like it has been the last few years. This is something new. Very excited to see it. And, yeah, that's it. We'll see what happens with the Giants. I think they could win the NFC East. And who knows? They might win a wild card game. We'll see. Oh, here's something interesting. So the NFL is talking about the CBA, the new CBA. A proposal is that the league can go to a 17-game season. And 7 seeds for each conference. 14 teams make the playoffs. You have 3 wildcard games. Only 1 team gets a bye week in each conference. You give it a preseason game. And everybody's complaining. I'm not talking about the players. The players, I understand. You don't want to play 17 games because it does a lot on your body. I understand that. This is for the crybaby fans that don't like the deal. Because, we're going to have a 7-9 team in the playoffs. Oh, no. 3 7-9 teams made the postseason. In the last, 10 years or so? 3 7-9 teams? They're 3-0. So let's not cry about the fact that, they're going to lose by 50 in the first round. It's going to be a horrible game. Nobody wants to watch that. First of all, after the Super Bowl, everybody's crying that there's no more football. Oh, no more football. Football season's over. First of all, the XFL, indoor football, arena football, the CFL, there's so much football after the Super Bowl. So let's stop with that nonsense. This is, again, why I started inside the arena. But everyone's talking, I don't know more football. You just get more football right now. Like, you got more football. You got an extra week of football. What are you complaining about? I don't understand it. Get over yourself. Like, you were getting more football. This is exactly what you wanted. This is Roger Goodell. Obviously he wants the best for the fans and the players. And then maybe that's not be the best thing for the players because, again, it could take a toll on their body and everything. But quit complaining about the whole CBA. 7-9 team. Who the hell cares? You're getting more. First of all, again, 7-9 teams are undefeated in the last 10 years, 20 years when they get to the postseason. They won their wild card game. So enough of that crap. And again, you're getting more football. So you should really. I don't understand why people are complaining about it. Get over it. It's going to be awesome if it happens. Of course, we don't know if it's going to happen yet. But if it does happen this season. And again, quit complaining because you guys are going to love it when it comes down to it. You're going to love seeing that 7th seed knock off a 3 seed in the postseason. You're like, wow, this is so awesome. And this is like March Madness. Everybody loves the Cinderella story, and they don't want the Cinderella story to get to the Final Four. Okay, who's saying a 7 seed's going to get to the Super Bowl? It's not going to happen. Only 3 6 seeds have gone. 2 or 3 6 seeds have gone to the Super Bowl. So it's highly unlikely that a 7 seed would get to the Super Bowl. Highly unlikely. But let's just enjoy it. If it does happen, we get more football, and the fans should be really happy that we get more football. Really, come on. All right, so let's get back into the XFL. I think I should talk more XFL on the show. It really builds the audience and everything. We're 2 weeks in. We're 2 weeks, seasons, 2 weeks in, whatever the case is. Really, and we see that there's only 2 teams left in the XFL that can really win a championship, and that's Houston and that's DC. Cardale Jones, he's 13-0 as a starting quarterback since high school. I don't know why people keep doubting him. Obviously he's in LA, San Diego with the Chargers. Of course he's not getting a starting job. He started. Oh, yeah, that was Tyrod Taylor. Never mind. Obviously he's not going to get a starting job with the Chargers because Philip Rivers was the guy for 15, 16 years while he was there. Of course he's not going to get a starting job, and that's what it all comes down to. Who starts? If you don't start, you're not going to be successful in the NFL, and that's why there's these other leagues. This is what give these guys the opportunities that they're looking for, and that's what's happening with Cardale Jones. He's getting the opportunity that he's looking for, and he's making the most of it. I mean, the guy has the DC Defenders at 2-0. They've dominated both their opponents, the Guardians and the Seattle Dragons. They're just doing very good stuff, and they continue to dominate. By the way, it's a very close contested Eastern Division or whatever it is. The East is much more close than the West because in the West you have Houston and Dallas and LA and Seattle. And now Seattle's good. They did win their game against Tampa, which really Tampa just beat themselves after that offensive pass interference call after the touchdown in the final minute or so. They beat themselves. Dallas, hello, they got in their own way again. The only reason they won because LA's defense didn't know what they were doing. Even though they did LA should have won that game against Dallas. First of all, they picked off Landry Jones 3 times. The only thing that really came down to was that at the end, the defense let the running back cut through them like a hot knife through butter. So really, that was LA game to lose. But Dallas is down by Dallas. I said Landry Jones is not going to be the great quarterback that everyone thinks he is. 3 picks. There you go. So really, I think LA is going to be fine. They'll make the playoffs. They're 0-2, but they're going to be fine. But I really think that's going to come down to Houston and DC in the XFL Championship game. We're only 2 weeks in. That could change. But right now, that's the way I see it. I see Houston and DC in the championship game, and I really don't think it's going to change. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. We'll see. But I don't think so. And with that, let's get to this week's power rankings, which again, I don't even have written down. I'm going off the top of my head. Number 8, we got to start with number 8. Number 8 is Tampa. Duh. Tampa is the worst team of the league. They beat themselves each game. 3 turnovers week 1 against New York. The touchdown called back off OPI last week. And then, they just barely. It was a crappy game. Again, they have had 2 quarterbacks play for them. 2 quarterbacks. They have no offensive touchdowns in either game this year so far. That's bad. That's terrible. Tampa Bay, number 8. Number 7, let's go Dallas. I'm going to stick with Dallas. I don't like the Renegades are doing. I told you guys, Landry Jones is, okay, he's under Bob Stoops. He's going to do fine. Bob Stoops is like Jeff Fisher. You need the talent around you to do well. If you're Bob Stoops, you don't have the talent around him. Landry Jones, 3 picks. The only reason they won is because LA defense was that bad. So Renegades are number 7. Number 6, I guess we'll have to go with the Wildcats, right? Because, LA, they really blew that game against Dallas. And then, of course, they lost week 1 blowout fashion to Houston. But, of course, Houston's really good. We've seen that P.J. Walker leads the league in touchdown passes with 7. And really, but I do think that LA is going to pick it up. They really should have won that game against Dallas. They should be 1-1. But right now, they're number 6 on my latest rankings. We'll go number 5. New York, honestly. What was I thinking? They have won their first game against Tampa, 3 turnovers, but I asked this question. I said, either this is going to show that New York is really good or Tampa's really bad. And we have our answer. Tampa's really bad. Really bad. New York, number 5, they are so terrible. Number 4, let's go Seattle. We're going to go the Dragons. They got their first win. They play great football. They are a very talented team. They just can't find ways to win. And then they should have lost to Tampa, the OPI, whatever. And then they held on to win the game anyway. At home. They lead the league in attendance. So, obviously, they have like 30,000 at home week 2. That was very nice for them. But Seattle, number 4, I don't think they're that great of a team just yet. Number 3, I'm trying to think. Who else is there? I'm trying to think. Oh, let's skip number 3 for right now. Let's go number 2. That's going to be the Defenders. I love Cardell Jones. I've always been a fan of Cardell Jones. Everybody knows I love Cardell Jones. And DC's a really great team. They're really talented. They traded away one of their guys. The guy that had the pick 6. And they traded him away. And they still were kicking AZZ. They were still kicking you-know-what. I mean, they just really, again, they just dominated. Oh, number 3, we'll go back now. Number 3 is St. Louis, by the way. My favorite team, of course. Battlehawks play great football. Unfortunately, they ran into the team that is Houston. And Jordan Ta'amu, who had a great game against the Roughnecks, threw 2 picks. And that really was just the coup de grace for them. So you have them at number 3. Number 2, we're going again, DC. I like Cardell Jones. I like what he does. I like the Defenders. They traded away Anthony Slive. And they still beat the Guardians. You know what? They shut him out. First shutout in XFL history, by the way. 27-0. DC Defenders, number 2. And number 1 is the Houston Roughnecks. No doubt about it. P.J. Walker's going to be MVP of this league. I don't know if Houston will win the title against DC. I think they might. But it's really going to be a shootout. Again, that game, a few months from now. If those two do meet up in the championship game, it's going to be a shootout. I can't wait for them to play the first place. These 2 teams, Houston and DC. P.J. Walker's a great quarterback. They have a great team around them, and they're just really dominating their opponents. They're showing up and showing out. And with that, we're done. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for watching. This has been the latest episode of the